So it's after midnight now, which means today would have been my mom's 80th birthday. Remember, my dad would have had his 80th birthday 2 months ago. They were born the same year, so happy birthday, Mom. I've shared many stories about my mom with you and my dad, but since it's her birthday, I've shared many stories about my mom and her presence and, you know, the signs and whatnot. So this video is really not about her. I mean, it could be a tribute to her, but it's not really about her per se. But because it is a landmark birthday for her, 80, right? 80 is when a lot of people say that's the age where you could feel like you could begin to say, I've lived a full life, time-wise, length, quantity-wise, number of years-wise. We know that, number of years doesn't, directly correlate with a full life or not. But when it comes to the length of life, 80 is usually that starting point, full life. But then there are people that are 90, 95 that are still dancing. So, I mean, it's all relative, So, and I know that because I've DJ'd weddings and parties where that's the case. They would cut the rug and do circles around people half their age. So anyway, because it is a landmark birthday for my mom, 80, I want to talk about age. Abraham Hicks once did a video, or, in one of the lectures, or one of the sessions or seminars, where she said, we live in a very age-conscious realm. Age-conscious realm. Everything's about age. Think about it. When you read a newspaper article, not that I'm recommending you read the news, but if you find yourself reading an article of some kind and they have a person's name, what is the first thing you see after that name? John Smith, 62, blah, 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 blah. The first thing you see is the age. We can't help ourselves. How old are you? And then the other thing that Abraham Hicks said was, with every age comes a story. Not necessarily from the person who has that age, but the people around them. How old are you? Oh, I'm 37. Oh, wow, blah, 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 blah. How old are you? I'm 65. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Like we all live the same timeline. We all have the same trajectory. We are so stupid. I swear, we are so stupid. And then we write people's futures for them based on what we know about that age. Well, I was that age once, and you have this to look forward to. And they would say, oh, you got aches and pains to look forward to. Oh, good luck finding a job when you get this age. I mean, oh my God. It is amazing to me how these stories, these conditions and these stories continue to pop up. Oh, you're getting old. You're getting old. Well, thank you. It's a blessing. You're getting old. Yeah, but they always mean it in a derogatory way. You got, illness and pains and aches and, you're going to become invisible now. Give me a break. I know so many people in their 70s who are far from invisible. They are so... Did I say visible or invisible before? When someone say, oh, you're getting older, you're going to become invisible soon, like that kind of thing. And I see just the opposite. I see radiant, beautiful people at that age, 70, 75, just glowing. Granted, not everybody, but... we are all individuals when it comes to this thing. Like my mom, she's been gone now 11 years, so you do the math. She was relatively young to me when she passed, and I think anyone would agree that, we thought she would live to be this age. Now, in another timeline, she probably is, and there's a part of her that's here right now. But the point I'm bringing out is, we are so seduced by age as far as like, oh, That age means something. People younger than me saying, I'm getting old, I'm getting old. Oh my God. And the jokes and the memes, they think it's funny. When people, oh, well, I forget things. And people younger than me, I'm like, oh my God, really? You're talking it into existence. It's like, I used to, those birthday cards, speaking of birthdays, that joke about people's ages, and they're supposed to be funny, right? Oh, you're 70 today, you're 50 today, you're whatever today, 60, 65. And it's a joke, and it's supposed to be funny, but it's always ridicule. Think about it. It is always ridicule. Now, even though we think it's funny, it's gotta subconsciously affect us. Oh, it may be funny, but there's truth in it. And no, it doesn't have to be. And I got some other thing to tell you. The human body, this wonderful thing that Source made, the human body, you know that it is not designed to wither away and suffer the last 10, 20 years of life. It's meant to thrive, live to a ripe old age, and then boom, shuts down. That's what the body's really supposed to do. But we've messed it up so much, and then they want to say, well, life expectancy's increased because of all the advances. And I'm not saying that they didn't play a role. But we skew that number because we forget about the infant deaths back in the day. You want to, give credit to science for that? Sure. In preventing those. But there was a lot more to it than just that back in the day. Nutrition, which even today, science doesn't even acknowledge nutrition like it should. Doctors don't know anything about nutrition. Some do, but they don't preach it, So, but again, it's not even about the nutrition. It's about the physical and mental and emotional state of the human body part. You know what I'm saying? I'll never forget, there was this, they still exist, but it's not what it used to be. There's this site, it's supposed to be a play site, like a fun site called the Death Clock, right? Where you give them your stats, your current age, your weight, your body mass, your habits, yada, yada, yada. And then they tell you based on that information what they think the date is of your death. It's supposed to be a play site, You can't take it seriously. But I will tell you something about it. It doesn't do it this way anymore because I did mess with it once. But I do remember back when this thing was really a thing, maybe 15, 20 years ago. Do you know what factor would change your death date from sooner to later? What factor the death clock? Now, granted, it was a play site. It was fun. But I do think there's some truth to this. Do you know what was the deciding factor, the difference maker in your length of life from shorter to longer? You think it was your weight? You think it was your BMI? No. You think it was whether you were a drinker or a smoker? No. Do you know what it was? You're going to laugh. But maybe you know where I'm going. It was your outlook. Your outlook. Optimistic, neutral, pessimistic. If you were a pessimist, no matter what your numbers were in the other categories, you lived a shorter life according to the death clock. Your death date was going to be sooner than if you were neutral and forget optimistic. 30 years could be added. Okay? You don't, and I know it's supposed to be a joke, but you don't realize there's truth in that. Your outlook is so important. So important. When doctors give, and I don't want to badmouth doctors, but when doctors give a death sentence to somebody, and because we look at doctors as holier than thou, and they believe it. And like clockwork, like death clockwork, no pun intended, that's when they go. No coincidence. 6 months, 6 months. A year, a year. Not all of them. A lot of them say, oh, the hell with that. That ain't happened to me. And then miracles happen. Now, I'm not blaming them for that. I'm just saying it's not even conscious. It's subconscious programming, okay? But when you look at a fun site, if you want to call it fun, like the death clock, and the one thing that changes a lifespan from shorter to longer is not your weight. I'm not saying don't be unhealthy physically, because it's all connected. Wasn't your weight, wasn't your BMI, wasn't your habits, it was your outlook. No coincidence there. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't think the site is the way it used to be back then, but I did find that so fascinating. You know? I still think those things are very important, don't get me wrong, but your mind and your emotions are so important. So important. And even the medical community is starting to realize there is indeed a mind-body connection. But getting back to age, those stupid stories, oh, by this age, expect this to happen to your body. By this age, get checked for this. By this age, on and on. What happened to trusting your body? What happened to trusting the divine intelligence of your body? Now take care of your body so it doesn't yell and scream, help me, help me. But what happened to trust? What happened to that thing that is responsible for all the stars you see and the sun and, you know, the nature around you? That thing, that force holding you up in this physical realm. What happened to that? You know? So if someone ever asks how old you are, don't be ashamed of it. Don't own it. But own it in a way that it's not really yours, because it's not yours. You're eternal. Okay? And this isn't about you're not your body. I'm not saying that, because you've heard me say that before. This is about realizing that your age is not what society necessarily thinks it is. So if someone wants to give you a story and want to write your future for you, let them. It's not you. It's them. They're projecting on you. Okay? Laugh at it. Oh, I guess you're right, huh? You know, and then say something under your breath. But we're so stupid. We put these things in the ethers. We put these things in existence. You know, we speak them into existence without realizing it. Or we put subconscious thoughts in people's heads. Well, really, look, if you have a problem with your age, don't put it on somebody else. You know what I mean? So it's so ridiculous. You know, we're not all cookie cutters, people. But anyway, getting back to Mom, I want to wish Mom, love you, wish you a happy 80th heavenly birthday. But I know where you are. And thanks all again for hearing me out. Take care.